They were the best of games. They were the worst of games. When most people who grew up in the 90s think about horror video games, they think of Resident Evil and Silent Hill, almost forming a Coke vs. Pepsi or Beatles vs. Rolling Stones rivalry. One franchise defined and then redefined horror and even the action genre. The other iterated upon the other's success. Both franchises have been seeing, well, a dip in quality. One franchise died in neglect, the other tried harder and harder to top themselves and went somewhere stupid. Silent Hill's successive game kept trying to recapture the magic that the first two games had. So when both of these games came back with a new focus, gamers felt a sense of cognitive dissonance. People were happy to see their favorite game franchise again, but their new look kind of made fans, well, worried. But to really understand these teasers, we have to look at their histories and how they all began.
Don't touch that dial now, we're just getting started.
Before Resident Evil was created, Capcom created a different game which many people consider to be the very first true horror game, Sweet Home, which then led Capcom to shake up the gaming genre with the game that coined the term survival horror, Resident Evil. And shook up the industry, it did alright. It defined the conventions that people came to associate it with survival horror. Limited ammo, cramped clustered hallways, and an enemy that's much stronger than you. It's about making meaningful decisions about your limited resources, health, ammo, space, and time. Later, Resident Evils 1 through 3 reiterated the same formula, kind of like another franchise. The thing is that at the time, people were tired of the same old games. People didn't really like the old tank controls and slow gameplay. There needed to be a change, and that change came with Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 reinvigorated the old formula by becoming the template for action games today. A lot of the old game mechanics were still there. They're just represented in a new way. The difference here is the focus on enemy interaction. Conserving ammo is still the goal here, but you're expected in this one to kill the enemies that you find. So much was packed into this one game, which kind of made it really awesome. Which is why further games went to that stupid place. When the first Resident Evil was made, many people in the gaming industry took notice, and one of those companies was Konami. Seeing that there was a market for a Hollywood-style horror video game, they decided that they could conquer the American gaming market, whatever that meant. Well, basically they just wanted to make a new Resident Evil, but with Konami's name on it. They put their worst performing developers on the task, and then outcasted them from the company. With a lack of direction from the executives, Team Silent created a game that relied more on the player's emotions, very much influenced by American horror writers and not American cinema. Heck, Michael Crichton, Dean Koontz, and Stephen King's pseudonym were streets in the town. Silent Hill replaced Resident Evil's zombies with ethereal monsters. They got creative with their monster designs, so when it came to time to repeat their success, they made one of the most depressing, eerie, and atmospheric games ever created. The game threw away the first obsession with the cult that kept Silent Hills just creepy. The game focuses on James Sutherland's nightmare trek in a story worthy of Stephen King's novels that the games draw upon. But then the series kept failing to recapture Silent Hill 2's magic. Oh wait, Pyramid Head, what are you doing here in Silent Hill Homecoming? Okay, that's kind of lame, but, alright. And they weren't really hurt again, well, until this.
But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.
And PT was weird. Not really for its gameplay, but the drama surrounding it. When it was first announced at Gamescom in 2014, it was billed as the world's first interactive teaser for an unknown developer. Kind of how another game was announced. The Phantom Pain. Its viral nature made people go mad. Reddit threads, YouTube analyses, and word of mouth kept PT on the mind of people. And when the first person on Twitch got to the end, well, this happened.
Hideo Kojima, what?
The internet went ablaze. A whole new trinity was created, Hideo, Del Toro, and Ridus. Konami had a guaranteed hit on their hands. Silent Hill fans would have bought it. Kojima fans would have bought it. Del Toro fans would have bought it. And even Norman Reedus fans would have been curious enough to buy it. Heck, I think I would have bought it. When Konami canceled Silent Hill and pulled PT from the PlayStation Network, it guaranteed that I wasn't gonna trade in my PS4 for a stick of gum at GameStop. Oh boy, no. Oh no. But the scariest thing about this game, and no, it's not Lisa, the radio operator, or that fetus. It's the digital nature of gaming today. The fact that this could no longer be readily available means that preserving it for the future generations will be very difficult. Konami made millions of immediate collector items. P2 is definitely going to go down in video game history, not only for the ideas presented in the game, but the story surrounding it. Heck, in the future, having a working copy of PT is going to make a person so much cooler in the eyes of others. People will recall living through these days and playing it for the first time. PT isn't really immediately different on paper. It's a first-person horror game. Well, that's been done a lot, especially in the indie scene. This trend draws upon the found footage style of horror, some exactly taking props from those movies and turning it into a game mechanic. PT was meant to be viral though. Its mechanics and puzzles told organically through gameplay. It doesn't hold your hand. The thing is that Kojima wanted players to collaborate. That's the only way one could expect someone to play the game, get stuck at the final puzzle, get frustrated, play it again on a different user account, because if you play it off the original save, you're going back to the final puzzle, so you need to really figure it out from the beginning. Take notes and maybe even record the gameplay, find these phrases, translate them, order them into a logical order, and then do a set of very vague tasks. I don't remember a game that expected one to jump through hoops. So then, even after doing all that, a name must be spoken. Decrypt its number codes to reveal the name Jareth. The thing that Kojima didn't count on is randomness. That somehow people are just gonna bump into the ending, not on purpose or even understand what they're doing. Heck, when I first beat PT, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was using a walkthrough. This demo was one of the few times an actual horror game actually elicited a response from me of dread. The scariest thing for me while playing this game, the thing going through my mind that kept me on edge, is the fact that this guy worked on this game. That means anything could happen. Even when you play PT another time, there's always this fear that these random numbers are going to align and, well, something weird's gonna happen. I mean, this is Kojima we're talking about. I could talk about the motifs of pairs, or even the theme of possession. PT is one of those games that tells its story through its environment and gameplay. We know that the ghost and the lady are one and the same because, well, it doesn't tell a clear narrative in a traditional sense, unlike another demo. And this one's a little bit more decisive. Many people are very vocal about how they don't like this demo, and there are few people defending it on its merits. First of all, the most notable change is the camera. Starting off with a fixed camera, although there were plans for it to be originally a first-person shooter. Resident Evil was gradually made for more and more camera control. The original's fixed camera control meant that the game developers could put the camera in creepy positions. A lot of the fear of the game came from wondering what was around the corner because you couldn't really see what was around the corner. Later on, you had some control of the camera, but you couldn't really see behind you and you still had to stand still to shoot. And eventually though, it became a Gears of War clone. Ugh, really? And now finally it's first person. And it's made the series go back kinda to its roots, whatever that means. Again, it's closer to the original source of fear. That fear of what was around the corner, because now, like the original, objects can block your view, causing fear about what's gonna happen. I feel like the demo effectively makes you look in the spots that they want you to. I really like the idea in this demo, what another character did in the past can change the future, which happened in Resident Evil 2. The atmosphere and style are engrossing. I mean, this Black Mirror, no one would have thought of this. This is an amazing reference for if you know your ghost stuff. Basically, it's so you can see spirits on the other side. Unfortunately, the game doesn't really take advantage of it in any interesting and weird ways that probably Kojima would. The style, well, that's where I feel like this demo shines the most. This photograph is pretty creepy. Oh, this one too. Might say, how could the style be interesting when it just rips off from PT, and all of these other first-person horror games, the demo starts off framing itself around found footage. Coming full circle towards those found footage movies that these first-person horror games seem to be based off of. The trail embodies this well with a really creepy rendition of the old folk song Go Tell Aunt Rhody.
Go tell Aunt Rhody. Go tell Aunt Rhody. Go tell Aunt Rhody that everybody's dead.
Which is a old colonial play song. Since dancing and music was banned by Protestant communities in early America, party play songs such as Bingo, Pop Goes the Weasel, and Go Tell Aunt Rhody were used to sidestep these bans. Later, it became a folk song.
Go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody that her old gray goose is dead. The one that she's been a-savin', the one that she's been a-savin', the one that she's been a-savin' to make a feather bed.
And today it's...
Go tell Aunt
Well, the original song is about a dead goose, so it's scary as well. And the new song kind of gets stuck in your head, kind of creeping you out. Still, there's similarities between this demo and many 2000 era horror films. I kind of like that. I typically don't like found footage films, maybe except for Cloverfield because maybe I like kaiju monsters, but that's a different story. Many people are saying that these references slash homages, whatever you want to say, are unimmersive. But to me, they're kind of endearing, kind of like how the original Resident Evil intro was.
Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers, Albert Wesker, Resident Evil.
When the original Resident Evil did things that wouldn't fly in today's gaming environment,
This house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
it gave the game a cheesy B-movie horror vibe. And that when it actually horrifies, it chills to the bones. It gives you the sense that something's gone wrong. It might also give that vibe of those ghost sighting videos on YouTube. The thing is that the mistakes in this demo kind of make it kind of weird and not really endearing. Like, why is the cameraman filming on VHS in 2017? How is he holding the camera? Does that mean that he's using a GoPro on a VHS? Why does the Gorton fisherman just appear and disappear out of nowhere and punch you in the face? But the weirdest of all, why is there raw spaghetti in the fridge? But for some reason, I like this demo more as a game than PT. And I know you might hate me, but you know it was inevitable. I know it was inevitable, mainly because it's in my script. But of course, I'm going to compare these two demos slash teasers, whatever they're called. Hands down, though, the design for PT seems to be more clever and elaborate. It was genuinely scary, mainly because you really didn't understand what was going on. It was that fear of the unknown. With the mechanics and everything, you're confused. With the Resident Evil 7 demo, the only fear of the unknown is not knowing what is around the corner, and then getting jump scared. a lot. PT telegraphed its jump scares in really clever ways, I feel. They're well designed. PT had 2 really awesomely designed jump scares. This one, where after doing a couple loops, you get locked out of that loop. So you turn around and you see this door open and cockroaches come out, making you think, maybe I should go towards this door. Then you look towards the door and, well, you hear something inside, a baby crying. So you want to zoom in. So you zoom in the only way you know how, and you just got spooked again. Anyways, and it also had another really, really awesome one that I liked. Is this one. Man, it is just perfect. I just love this one. While the jump scares in Resident Evil 7 were kind of hit and miss. I like this one because you just got the key and you saw 2 characters possibly die in that same house. So you just kind of want to book it out of there. You hear something in the kitchen and wonder if the Gordon fisherman is cooking up some grub for you. And you realize he's not really there. Run out of the kitchen and then boom, you just got spooked. The other ones aren't really well designed. The sound design in PT is superb and creepy. From the footsteps that follow your footsteps to the haunting. And, well, that baby.
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register. Only reason she could earn a wage at all is the manager liked how she looked in a skirt. You remember, right? Exactly 10 months back.
The sound in RE7 kind of shifts from great to unimmersive. It's a sound effect I've heard many times, but can't really put my finger on it. Bottom line, and you might not be able to tell from what I've said, but I like Resident Evil 7's demo more than PT. I do acknowledge that PT is more innovative and, well, interesting from a design / well, horror in general. All these indie games that have been cropping up inspired by PT, they fail to realize what really was the main point of the game. They don't understand that PT was never really intended to be a full retail game. Either these games fail to be entertaining games, or they just really missed the point of what PT was all about and what made it great. Resident Evil 7 felt like it had more inklings of a really fully fledged game. Maybe I've been a fan of Resident Evil franchise more in of itself. It's just, I kind of find it weird that it's Resident Evil 7 and not Resident Evil reboot, but I don't know. Doing some research on this has actually brought up an interesting point. And that is the fact that Konami is very stupid. While people have always put up Silent Hill as the Pepsi to Resident Evil's Coke, it's always been hard to find Silent Hill games, unless you look for them, and the sales show this. And availability becomes a problem when trying to introduce or reintroduce, or even just archive these games. And the fact that Konami seems like they're not really interested in doing anything with the franchise kind of worries me. Well, unless you count the Silent Hill pachinko machine, but no one really considers the Silent Hill pachinko machine.
Hit the lever!
Access makes it hard for people to enjoy these titles, and if game companies really want to combat piracy, well, they have to make their games available through digital distribution or even just HD remasters. I mean good HD remasters. And Capcom has gotten this idea. As their older games have really stood the test of time graphically, they've made a bigger push to remaster RE1 and 0 with Resident Evil 2 in the works still. The thing is that the newest Resident Evil 7 game is probably the closest that we're gonna get to the Silent Hills game that was cancelled, as Capcom hired those people who worked on it. But one thing is clear, Resident Evil has become more resident because it's in a house again. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a sponge.